How are you now?
Yeah, I'm all right now. It's like I say, it was just a bit disappointing to do the pre-season, then get started, and 40 minutes into the season that I come off with an injury and put me out for another game. It would have been better to get some rhythm, like every team's need at the start of the season. I mean, the team played really well for the first two games, but from a personal point of view, it would have been nice to be involved in that a bit more. But I'm back now, so that's gone. It's gone now.
Well, I know it's a rib injury and it's a rib cartilage injury, and you missed one game, but it don't get better in one game, does it? So you're still in some discomfort.
Yeah, a little bit, but if you ask any rugby player how they're feeling at the start of every match, no one's going to say 100%. Someone's always carrying some up there, so it's standard practice for a rugby league player. I've just got to get on with it.
Yeah, indeed. So you might lose Sean Kenny down, and you might lose Kane Lynette, which is the two of the three on the left side that's so potent. That would be a big blow, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we've got a good connection there ever since I landed here at the club. That's pretty much been the predominant left side. And quite a few times, over the period I've been here, we haven't had a full side, the full connected left side. So it's not too unusual for us not to play as a connected unit. So we've got players, waiting and ready to go to step into the players' shoes and play really well when they're called upon. I don't know what's going to happen with who is going to play and who's not. We'll find out later on. So obviously we'll keep that in the bank. But yeah, like I said, the pre-season set up there so everyone trains well, trains in the positions, and everyone knows what they're doing if they're asked to slot into the team.
Well, yeah, but two first picks and two experienced first picks. It gives the other players an opportunity, but they don't have the runs on the board, as the Australians say, like the experienced lads do. You, Ken, and Skids.
Yeah, that's all right. I know they probably don't have the experience that we do, but they've got the youth, the enthusiasm. That's kind of drummed out of us always.
Don't tell me you've got all cynical in your old age.
No. But like I said, we're confident in the squad that we've got. We've had a terrific pre-season. We've got players who haven't been picked in the last few games who really want a game and probably should be playing Super League week in, week out, and they haven't had that opportunity. So any of those players who come into the team will be, I'm sure, taking the opportunity with both hands.
Yeah, the other thing is as well, when you were a youngster, how do you gain experience? By playing. If you're not playing, you don't gain experience. I suppose that's the maxim, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And then when you do get in, you try and stay in for as long as possible to keep, like you say, get them runs on the board. It's the same with every player. When I first started, I got in. I took my opportunity because injuries and suspensions exactly the same. So that is the journey of a rugby league player. So there's nothing new, about this situation.
Can you remember who you replaced and kept out?
My first game was because an 18th man didn't make it. It was Ryan Bailey who pulled out of the team. I was 18th man on the occasion. It was Millennium Magic, the first one down in Cardiff. 2007 played Bradford. So I remember when I got called upon to play.
And did you keep your place the following week and the week after that and the week after that?
I only made a 20-minute cameo off the bench in my debut. So the following week I didn't play, but the 2 weeks after that I did play. I played against Hull FC, then Hull KR.
All right, okay. So the embryonic signs were born against teams from Hull.
Yeah.
Funny how the wheel turns full circle, isn't it?
I know, yeah. Well, the rugby league community is only small, so there's spiderwebs going everywhere, and you can read into stories left, right, and centre in rugby league, but it's just one of those.
Talk to me about last week's game, because that must have been a huge disappointment. 2 from 2, could have made it 3 from 3. The first time the club's ever done that in the Super League era, but it wasn't to be. And you must be thinking to yourself, what went wrong there? We had a 7-point gap twice, and we let it go.
Yeah, we did, and that's what's harsh about it. Well, hard for us to take about it because we felt we were good enough to win. Like you say about the start and Hulkiar's history throughout Super League, it would have been the best ever to start like that. But again, that's not to be. But I suppose Lee were the hungrier team on the night.
Well, that shouldn't be though, should it?
It shouldn't be, no, but it's true. It's what happened. Yeah. You can say shoulda, woulda, coulda all the time, but it's not necessarily what actually happens. But again, it's a part of the rugby league journey. You win some, you lose some. We would like to win more than what we lose, and make it certainly more one-sided. So we get plenty more wins and losses. And we've got an opportunity. That's what we see it as this week, an opportunity to go and get another win against a really good team in Warrington. They've got 3 from 3. So it's going to be a tough challenge, but we like that because if you look back on the last 3 games, on the games that we should win, according to the bookmakers, we've lost the only one that we should win. The bookmakers didn't have as favourites against Wigan or Salford. I don't think they'll have as favourites against Warrington either because of their start. So, and we seem to win them 2 games. So hopefully we can touch wood and crack on and perform well.
Well, you just, you almost rubber stamp the cynicism of the bookmakers have against Hull Kingston Rovers by not winning that game, don't you? I mean, was there subconscious complacency in there?
We try not to think like that. We try. We've watched all the video and watched all the things what went on in that game and where we weren't as good. And sometimes it's hard to explain why we weren't good. And the questions are asked. There's quite hard questions I'm sat now in the video room that we normally do our reviews in. They're quite awkward conversations because nobody means to do anything wrong. No one means to be out of position or do something what leads to an error or whatever it is. And sometimes it just takes an honest mistake, and it's like I say, it's a hard conversation for people to have, but we learn from that, and hopefully we can do our learnings quickly and get it right for Warrington, like I say.
I don't suppose Willie Peters was best impressed, was he? Is that an understatement?
Yeah, I don't think he was, no. You can ask him that when he comes in.
Oh, don't worry, I will do. But it's nice to get an insight into his modus operandi. He hasn't been at the club very long. But were the harsh words spoken?
Yeah, well, I think there has to be. For a team that we want to be, you're going to have some harsh lessons along the way, and it's better to get them done early. Let's say that. Let's not be having these harsh lessons, towards the October time. So it's coming back to what I've said before about the journey of rugby league team. You can talk about journeys over careers, over 17 years, and you can talk about journeys just lasting a season. And I think that this journey that we're on this season, I think it's got lots and lots and lots of fruits to bear. We've just got to, get through the rounds, keep playing like we did do in the first 2 rounds, and we'll see them fruits.
Right, okay. You've alluded to Warrington. Warrington, who had a season that they wouldn't have wanted last season, finishing second to bottom in the end, I think it was. But there's been a rebirth and a rechanneling of what they're about, and lots of personnel changes. Has the fact that they've got off to a 3 from 3 start surprised you, Ryan?
Not really, no. The most surprising thing is where they finished 11th last year, because they're not an 11th place team. The roster's not anyway. Let's say that it's how you play on the day, but their roster suggests that they're not an 11th place team. It suggests that near the other end of the table, which is what they've shown for the first 3 rounds.
But after what 27, 28 rounds, you finish where you deserve to finish in the league, don't you? So they can't have any complaints about that, can they?
No, like I say, the roster's one thing, and that it suggests they've got a good roster, but it's how you play on the field, which they didn't do. Speaking to their players, some of their players at the end of the season in the England camp as well, like they just couldn't. It's one of those things when I try to answer about what went wrong against Lee. It's hard to answer because you don't actually know. You can't really put your finger on it. It was just some things just didn't feel right for them. Anyway, but it looks like their pre-season's ironed out those wrongs, and they've started well. But hopefully we can deliver them the first defeat of the season.
Yeah, indeed. It has to be built upon defensive strengthness, which you didn't have against Lee. So that needs fixing up first up, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what we like to base the game on. The old defending, if you talk about defending champions, they defend, don't they? So we have to be good in defence. You don't become champions by not being able to defend well either. So we know we've got to defend well. Certainly better than what we did do against Lee.
Where do their threats come from in this game? Then, do you believe?
Well, they haven't really flown under the radar at all this year. They've come out, throwing punches all over the field, and it's obvious to where their threats are. George Williams has been playing brilliantly. They've had some fantastic middles, do really well in Paul Vaughan. Well, all the middles have done well, but him especially. They've got some speed on the wings. Matty Ashton is playing really well. So it's obvious to see where Warrington have been going well. So it makes the game plan, I suppose, easy this week. It's just obviously going to be difficult to go and do.
Well, the other thing you need to do is, and you've dropped one at home already this season, but for you to be successful, you've got to make it a fortress at Craven Park, haven't you?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, and it's always backed up by the fans as well. They always come out in numbers, do the fans, and we kind of deserve to pay them back, by playing really well in front of them and winning majority of the home games is the plan. Well, it started last week, but it didn't really go to plan, so it starts again this week.
Yeah, indeed so. What are your hopes and aspirations for the season? Because you did play for England at the end of the season, but didn't get to play in the key strategic games, did you?
Yeah.
So when it comes to the rest of your international career, what are your hopes and expectations?
Well, that's up to the coach to decide. I've been me for 17 years. I don't think you're going to get anything devastatingly new out of me. I'm just going to keep doing what I do and try and do it, to the best of my ability. That's probably why I've, been in and around the England teams, for last 17 years.
Yeah.
I'll never retire from England. Some people have done before, but my mentality is if England want me to play and they need my services, I'm more than happy, to go and do that to the best of my ability. I love playing for England. Like I say, I'll never retire from England. If the coach at the time thinks there's someone better to do a job that puts England in a better position, well, that's fine.
Has it ever crossed your mind that you might just concentrate, as they say, just concentrate on club rugby, or are the two synonymous? Do they go together like a jigsaw puzzle?
Yeah, it goes together. It's like I've never thought about retiring for England. It's never affected me playing wise, for my club. So no, I've never thought of that. Sorry, no.
What about the reappointment or the continuation of Sean Wayne as the coach? Do you welcome that?
Yeah, he's set out with a goal from when he took charge. Was quite obvious. He wanted to win the World Cup, and he threw a lot of effort into there. And I think we had the team to do it, and the style of play that we played. I think we had the opportunity to do that. We just in that semi-final against Samoa, that was our worst performance of the full tournament, and we couldn't have done it on the worst stage. But we believed in the style, and we believed that style was going to get us the win. So for sure,
it wasn't the offensive side of things. It was late in the game, the lack of defensive nous, if I can put it that way. And it came on the side that, and I said it at the time, if Ryan Hall had played, England would have got through to the final. I know you might say that, well, that's just subjective and it's one person's opinion to the other. But you can't replace international experience when it comes down to the big game, can you?
Well, it's very nice to say that about what you said, but like you say,
that's what I said. Yeah,
I got experience one way. There's only one way to get experience by playing.
Yeah, We've already talked about that, haven't we?
The players who played in that England team will have a very fruitful England career, professional career, for the clubs as well. So that certainly I'm not thinking like that. The team that played on that day deserved to play. Obviously, that's me not picking myself in that team, but certainly how the players played throughout the tournament, that team deserved to play, and I'll back that. And what happened on the day, probably what happened against us against Lee the other day, it just didn't go to plan. Yeah,
and Sean Wayne blamed himself for that. He said, "I'll take this hit. It's on me," which all good coaches will do in the end, won't they? What's said behind, the dressing room walls or the dressing room doors is something different. But to come out to the press and say, "Look, I don't blame the players. I blame me. It's on me." It shows some sort of statesmanship in terms of being a coach, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, there's a bit of that in everyone who plays Rugby League. He's an ex-player himself, and now he's a coach. But he'll have a bit of stuff when stuff doesn't go right. First place I look is the mirror. What could I have done different, or what could I have done next time to make sure that doesn't happen again? And that sounds very much like that's what he's done. He's blamed himself, but there's 17 players on the field. There's 24 players in the squad, and there's all the backroom staff as well. So everyone's got an integral part to play in that. So I'm sure it's a bit more shared out than how he made out.
Yeah, and one of the things that has been said by various people is you just don't play enough international rugby at the quality of the game that you need to be able to progress every 4 years in a World Cup when it comes around. Do you buy that as well?
I'll agree with that. I'll agree, yeah. We don't play enough top-level international games. That's me being subjective and analysing it. If you're going to ask me what is the solution to it, I probably don't have it, because there's been different versions of things tried and tested, and nothing's been nailed down as this is a great formula to take forward. Because at the end of the day, the Australians, who were world champions, they played less international rugby than us. They've got their state of origin competition where they have kind of the arena for that. But I think the game would be better by having more, across the board, more international games. I don't know the problem achieved, but I think would be a good way.
Of course, the problem is just the distance between the southern hemisphere and the northern hemisphere, and the fact that you might be able to play, 2 games against France, but France aren't at the level that Great Britain's at, and Ireland aren't, and Scotland aren't, and Wales aren't. So if you're talking about real test, it's either Aussie or New Zealand coming here, or you going there, and it's a long, long way, isn't it?
In this century, I think it's only plane ride away. It's not like it used to be in the olden day, where you had to get in a ship and sail for 6 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's a lot closer than it used to be, if you get that. But I don't think that's anything to read into. I think it's just the availability in the players, and player welfare get involved, a lot more now about limiting how many games people should be playing, and clubs wanting to play more games because that's where the money comes in through TV rights and all that sort of stuff. So there's load of red tape everywhere. Yeah. Like I say, it's me analysing it. I believe there's not enough games played internationally. How to achieve that, I don't have the right answer.
I understand that, because that's something that we've been scratching our head over for a long, long, long time, and you can understand why Australia don't feel the need to play and catch up with them, aren't they?
Yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. Ryan, lovely to talk to you. Thank you for being so honest, and best of luck with those ribs.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
Hi, Ryan. You all right, buddy?
How are we doing? You okay?
Yeah, good. Just a few from me. Obviously, you're out of contracts at the end of this year. You're coming to the back end of your career. How are you finding it under Willie Peters? It was an intensive pre-season, wasn't it? But you're still, keeping up to fitness with everybody?
Well, let you into my biggest secret, I've never been fit. I'm really good. I'm really good at poker and bluffing. I just bluff everyone to think I somehow survive 80 minutes, and then I patch myself up for the rest of the week. But yeah, you're right. It's it's been a tough pre-season, but that's what we needed as a team. You can't have a good season if you don't have a good pre-season. So I'm glad we've ticked off that first box. But having a good pre-season doesn't mean you're going to have a good season either. So there's still a bit of work to do, throughout the season. But we certainly set ourselves up, to go the right way by doing what we've done, in November, December, January. And hopefully we can get back on the right track this week, go back to how we played in the first 2 rounds, because that was how we've trained all pre-season. Is that how we played on them 2 rounds, and hopefully we can emulate a bit of that in round 4 this week.
And I suppose even with the setbacks, possibly to Kane and Sean, you've been in sides that have won everything, and it's been the next man off the rack, hasn't it? And some people have got to step up, and I know the depth has been key to what Willie wants to bring into Hull Kingston Rovers. So again, like you alluded to there, yeah, it's going to be missing 2 experienced players, but they've got to stand up, the people who are coming in.
Yeah, and I believe they will do. Been waiting for this opportunity. The good Super League players, and yeah, I think you'll see some really good performances actually from the people who have been waiting in the wings, because letting all that out in 1 game or 2 games or however many games they get, it's good. That's the rugby league team there. That's what a squad does.
Perfect. Best of luck Friday, buddy.
Cheers. Thank you.
Hi, Ryan. It's Gary. You all right?
How are we doing? You okay?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Could you start off with from what you've seen from Super League so far, do you think games are sort of that bit more intense maybe than previous years, even though it's only a couple of rounds in?
I think you're right. I think the intensity has been right up there. Every now and then, last year, you can watch a game and it'd be a bit not much going on, a bit low intensity, but I've certainly not got that out of any of the games I've seen or clips I've seen from the 3 rounds. But that's how it should be. It should be an intense, do or die, situation type of thing, and that's how we've been playing. I think every other team's been playing as well. So that's great for the sport, because that's what sells seats, sells tickets.
And that in turn helps the international team, doesn't it? If more players are used to that sort of intensity.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand. Yeah, you're right.
Just on England, I mean, obviously they play next month and everything. How much of a personal motivation is the shirt they're going to wear to you?
Yeah, it's I did the photos in it, and it's my actual going back to 2011. It's got that same style about it. That's my favourite shirt. It's a bit different to your standard shirt, and the connection with the M&D and Rob, a long-standing teammate of mine, and is going through a bit of a what he's going through. For us, that's typical rugby league. We someone's in need, someone's in a bit of going through a bit of bad time. Rugby league gets behind them, no matter what our circumstances are. We'll lend them a hand. We'll lend them, shirt of offers back and all that sort of stuff. That's what rugby league's all about. We're a northern game. We would like it to be more than a northern game, but we are a northern game, and that's what northern people are about.
Have the players that were involved last year spoken to Wayne at all since the World Cup, or were you sort of waiting for the decision to whether it be coach or anything?
If people spoke to him, they probably have spoken to him. But I don't think he lives a silent life, so I'm not sure somebody spoke to him. But we not been decided yet. Well, I don't know yet, but there's normally regular meetings for the team to get together, have dinner, just chat. Basically come, get in a team environment, just so barriers are broken down early on. About your clubland rules and all that sort of stuff. So you got the two team mentality, which I think is great, and more of that is the better.
I suppose it was just waiting to see whether he got the job before anything else can be put in place first, eh?
Yeah, you can't really do all really meetings and stuff if you don't know who coach is going to be.
Just sort of relating this both the club game and the international game. How impressed are you by the standard of the wingers in Super League so far? I mean, as well as yourself and Tommy, and obviously Dom Young's in the NRL. These others putting their hands up, isn't he? One of whom you might face on this week in Matty Ashton.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see that. it's about expressing yourself. It is playing rugby league. You know, you come out and you can do something, you know, on the field, and not everyone's got to be the same. And that's what everyone else is doing at the moment. Everyone's being themselves and doing really well at it as well. You're seeing loads of finishing in the corners, you know, in diving finishes in the corners, which is great to see. You know, the athleticism of the athletes out there, but also doing more than just that. You know, that's what I've based my game on all throughout my career, doing more than just that, you know, helping out the team to get out yardage and all that sort of stuff. And pretty much every winger's doing that now. And it's helping the team. It's a team mentality. It's great to see. Like, at some point, I'm not going to be in the England team. Let's get that right. It's, you know, I'm not going to be there forever. And maybe if I'm close to that now, I don't know. But, you know, somebody's got to come in and be at a very good standard to, you know, to play for England, not just because I'm not there, you know, someone else will play. They've got to be at the best standard. And I think we're seeing quite a lot of that in the Super League throughout the wingers. Yeah,
that standard's almost spreading. Also, like that work ethic as well is more and more wingers sort of willing to take the ball from under their own posts.
Yeah. People laugh and joke saying we're props standing on the wing, which, yeah, we might be. That's the new modern adaptation of that. That's fine. But as long as it helps the team progress, that's what it's all about.
Your props standing on the wing. Touch judges with muscles was the one I always heard when I was a kid.
It's evolved a little bit since that.
Yeah. No, brilliant, Ryan. Cheers for that. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
No worries.
Hi, Ryan. How are you doing?
How are you doing? Yeah, you okay?
Yeah, good. Thank you. I know you touched on it there, but with the, you know, being out of contracts and that. But at 35, how's the body feeling this year?
It's fine. Feels like I'm 18. apart from my ribs, which don't feel too, you know, 100%. But yeah, I feel fine. I said all along I'll keep playing rugby league until my, you know, body tells me, you know, to stop. But like, it hasn't told me to stop yet. I just featured in the World Cup, you know, at 34, which not many people did, or I've done in the past. So my body feels good. It's in a good place, and I'll keep, you know, doing the thing what I really enjoy doing, playing rugby league, until it tells me to stop.
In terms of that, how many years do you think you've probably got left in you?
No idea. We'll take it year by year. We've got to get to the end of this one first, but yeah, like I said, if I'm in a good place, my body's in a good place, and I can still do a good job, I'll still be doing what I love.
Cheers, Ryan. Thank you.
Cheers.